I'm Etzion from Haifa, Israel. Today is the 7th of September 2024. As tradition says, we'll start with a musical piece, which I've selected. This musical piece, it's from 2017, still from my former band in Meherabad, Zion. This is a small town 10 kilometers westward of Jerusalem, between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. There we lived about 10 years, and there I started to participate in their wind band. And here, in this occasion, it is the first time I am playing the bassoon. You can see me here. This myself is a bassoon. The picture is not good.
הצלצול הזה היה צליל של כיבוי של פלאפון.
It's from July 2015, 9 years ago. how it sounded? Did you hear it well?
Yeah, very good, very, very good.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think this is one of my first appearances. I think what happened, I was playing the flute before that. I still do play the instrument. 72, when Baba came to my life, I started to study music. Before that, I didn't study any music. And I had a roommate who was playing a saxophone in the police band. And he was asking me if I would like to study music. And I said, why not? And started to play the recorder, a small wooden instrument. And after a few months, I felt convenient. He communicated myself with the flutist of the orchestra, and she bought me a flute, helped me to buy a flute, and she started to teach me how to play. And I kept on studying the flute for many, many years. And about 10 years ago and more, I started to practice the bassoon. Why I practice the bassoon? Because while in this orchestra, I was playing the flute, but instead of playing the parts for the flute, myself and another person, we were playing the pieces for the oboe, because we didn't have an oboe, just to give more weight and feeling to the sound. And one day, jokingly, I said to the conductor, instead of playing the flute, I should study oboe. He said, no, I don't need an oboe. I need a bassoon. So we were playing at that time under the supervision of the school of Meherabad, this small town. They have a musical school. And I found in the musical school an abandoned bassoon, an old bassoon, and I was searching the internet how to put all this piping together. It's all you need to study just how to put the pieces together. And quite amazingly, I found there an old, there is a reed. Without the reed, you cannot play. And as soon as I put everything together, it started to play. And I fell in love with the instrument. Eventually, after a year of trying here and there, in the beginning I didn't know if it's going to work, but I felt that I'm advancing slowly. I started to study with the bassoon player of the Jerusalem Symphonic Orchestra, and he kept on teaching me for quite a few years. And one day he bought me a bassoon. He went to Japan. He visited the bassoon factory in Japan, the name of Takeda, and just bought me a bassoon. And he comes calling me for Japan. I bought you a bassoon, very cheap, $4,000-5,000. Cheap, I don't know. But the real bassoon can cost between $50,000 to $100,000. And he had an expensive bassoon, so he bought me a cheap bassoon. So this is the bassoon that I keep on playing now. Okay, we'll move now from this anecdote to our studies of the story of Genesis. And before that, I wanted to make a little introduction to the Hebrew scrolls, the ancient scrolls. I'm going to share something. This is a Torah scroll, that's the way it looks. This is an official Torah scroll, modern. As you can see the letters, of course I can read it. Just a minute, I want to bring a book of the Torah from my library, just a second. Okay. I want to share another thing. Did you see it, the picture?
Yes, Etzion.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to share a picture of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is a scroll of the Torah which was discovered in the Qumran caves. It was discovered
Yes.
during November, the 29th of November 1947, and I can read it. This is a scroll from 2,200 years ago, more or less, and these are square Hebrew letters, and there is a big debate with which letters or glyphs the Torah was given, the book of Moses, and this ancient scroll I today can read. Now I'm going to share this, the square letters on top, and on the bottom, the ancient Hebrew, which kept on being used even after the destruction of the temple. So presumably they'll be using the square letter or Assyrian letters. Do you see this? And this is the Phoenician letters. Did you see what I presented now? I'm not
Yeah,
sure if
very
it can.
clear.
So wonderful. What it is, there is a debate of which letter. The ancient Hebrew was derived from the Phoenician letters, but what we saw, the scrolls were written in Assyrian square letters, which is, you can see it here. That's the way it looks a page. I should scan it. Around this we have the commentaries of the most well-known commentators of the book. This is a book of Genesis. This is while I'm working on this book. And this on top, this is the first verse of the Torah in Hebrew. בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ. Wrongly translated, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. We explained before that this is totally erroneous. And what it is, even the commentators, I simply take my time. If you're dealing with this, see what it, I explained it in the beginning, what it means. I don't want to get into it now because it's long, but none of the commentators say anything that I have been presenting here. But recently I heard a talk by a person who studied Kabbalah, and they do give importance to what I said concerning the meaning of the Hebrew sentences, which visually to understand. So what I'm saying, and I didn't look at any book whatsoever while writing, sharing whatever I'm sharing with you came spontaneously as inspiration from Baba, as I explained. Started 2006 in Meherabad, etc. Explain it in the beginning of all this sequence. So we'll continue our reading of the book of Genesis, the creation of man. Let me see. I just want to see how they say it in Hebrew. They don't say it like this. This is a translation. So God created man. In Hebrew it said, so the gods in plural created. And in Hebrew, you can say creating also plural or singular, feminine or masculine. And this characteristics you don't have in English. And man is not man, but Adam in his own image. In Hebrew, it says the word has more connotation to shadow. Tselem. Tselem is in Hebrew a shadow. It's not image, as if man, the appearance of man is a shadow of God. It's something different than image. They don't say it. What it means, it's actually the appearance of the avatar on earth. In one sentence, we see the whole process of becoming a human being, a physical human being, the, the, the path, the transcendence of the human individual on the planes till it reaches avatarhood, perfection, Adam. And Baba said in the book of Baruch Achuri, nothing is everything, if I'm not wrong, that Adam was the first avatar. And I came to this conclusion independently before reading the Baruch's book, that the Adam in Genesis is the first avatar. So hopefully my inspirations are moving along Baba's teaching, whatever that is. At least it is certainly what is being presented here is different than what has been presented so far. Male and female created he, them. Now the principle of male and female is the element that separates and unites in creation. It's the first time we see male and female, but there is a creation before that of animal and everything, all kinds of forms of life, including vegetation. Only the first time the principle male and female is being introduced. So far, it was what we can witness from this, that the division from a unity to diversity continues in the physical plane. And according to various scholars, etc., there was a period that all creatures were eunuchs. In order to breed, it's like a plant you would from, and read it somewhere, learned from, I don't know if it's true. So from our hand, for example, it would start to grow something like a shoot, and this would become my son. Eventually it would grow up and would get separated from my body, and this would be the next one. Till the principle of male and female was established in the creation. And now what we have to do, there's a principle, this principle brings the division of the unity to its apex. And here now we're getting seek to find our counterpart, male or female, so we'll become united again. In the process of getting married and having a physical communion with a partner is the beginning of the process of going back to the original unity. Why all this process is happening? There's a mysterium magnum of the creation. Only when we'll traverse the path, then we'll understand why is it. And God bless them. He doesn't say here Adam and Eve. He just said that there are people, humanity. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And before that, a former session, we spoke that this was hidden here also. The principle of free will depends on our attitude. I explained it. And don't wish to go to it again. First, we can see that a man was created, or more correct to say that we created man. We, the human beings, created the man. We have reached a certain threshold in the process of creation where we have a certain amount of free expression. But the process of reuniting or the return to the original union before creation didn't start yet. Now we created the possibility of uniting in a certain sense. If man was actually divided to male and female, the entire mental essence was apparently divided to two components that we name one as male and the other as female. So all talking about psychology, the deeper aspects of psychology of the individual soul. The new psychology 3,000 years ago, much more than our modern psychologists know. The phenomenon of the appearance of individuality keeps on widening and reaches now another stage. The various forms in the physical creation are limited and not infinite. The possibility of rejuvenation and continuation of the various forms on Earth become evident. The phenomenon of male and female demonstrates a basic element of creation. We already can see in the very rudimentary stages that atoms combine between themselves in order to create a new form of life. The power that unites them is the element of male and female. The electrical phase of positive and negative points actually that the pairs of male and female binds together powerfully to a single unity. So from the moment the creation was split to endless individuals, it seeks to return to its primeval unity as it was before the creation. A tremendous force is acting here, which aspires to unite the endless particles. Here appears a unique manifestation on the journey of the individual being for the discovery of its essence. The individual splits apparently to two beings, male and female, who are supposed to form one cohesive harmony. The phenomenon of creation is actually the appearance of individuality. Infinitude is being revealed through endless individuals that together form wholeness. The phenomenon of male and female is actually a stage where the individuals unite again, gradually, to the original pre-creation, but with a state of consciousness which didn't exist before. United married couples who live in harmony create a state of consciousness which didn't exist before when each of the partners lived on its own. This is the beginning of the formation of the spiritual circle. When we kept on speaking about this. We just experienced musical band, 30, 40 individuals working together with perfect accord under the directive of what we call a conductor, a person who unites a core, like a core of the atom. There must be always a core. The sun is a core of the solar system. There must be a principle core which directs everything around it. At the beginning, and in this sphere, we call it the spiritual circles. We have discussed it quite widely before, spoke about this at length, and not going to speak about this again now. You can go back and listen to, I've been speaking about this many times. And the principle of the spiritual circles is a key to reconstruct, to form humanity. Here we can see the beginning of formation of the spiritual circle. That's the first foundation block. It's the union of male and female. It starts with this, and then we add all the additions around it, and we are going to observe it. We can observe the various characteristics of the genders. The male is active, the female is passive. Intense, powerful activity for survival is the main characteristic of the male. The female aspect is mainly defined by creating a warm cell where progress and development can be achieved. The male aspect is to protect and preserve. The female has to be patient and moderate. We all feel lacking and seek the fulfilling counterpart. We seek something external, a figure which attracts us. We act due to subconscious urge which compels us to seek perfection, but we seek an external perfection, looking for the perfect male, the perfect surroundings, perfect home, perfect family, perfect country, perfect nation, and so forth. This never was accomplished in recorded history. Should be accomplished. Discovering mistakes in the text. Thank you. Perfection can be achieved only when these two aspects merge within ourselves. Okay. We're reading, we're discovering mistakes. That's very good. A couple of individuals breed another group of individuals that all feel like one unity, a family, and thus the feeling of selfishness which comes with individuality is somewhat fading. The familial sense is expanding when a bigger group is being formed, like a tribe or a nation, where a greater measure of relinquishing selfishness is required for the survival sake of the group. Every phase like this is actually a new state of consciousness. The united family creates a state of consciousness which didn't exist before. The united tribe creates a state of consciousness which didn't exist before. A nation which contains a few united tribes working together with harmony creates a new state of consciousness which surpasses that of the tribe. and so on and so forth. This is a fractal development which goes on forever. But in order to achieve this, here it is being hinted, the spiritual circles. Everything has to go according to this, and we are going to discuss it later on, the issue of spiritual circles and the fall of man. We'll come to it quite soon. With individual group existence, devoid of the ideal creation essence, creates conflicts and enmities between the various groups, and thus the process of consciousness expanding is being curtailed and stuck. Here the fall of man is being hinted. But at this stage, the process of creation was normal. We continued progressing physically and spiritually more or less normally till we will see later on what happened. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is a fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Here it is being ordered by God that our diet should be only vegetarian. Supposed to eat only herbs and fruit. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the earth, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. Perfect creation without any bloodshed whatsoever. Just imagine how Earth looked at that time. But this was on the axis of time. I don't know if it was 6,000 years ago, 6 billion years ago. Because we see science claims that they discovered more than 600 million years ago predators eating each other. They could see all kinds of creatures devouring each other. They discovered dinosaurs, forms of dinosaurs, intertwined in the battle of death, and they killed each other. They found both of them chewing each other. Because they could see that they ate each other. They could see the bones were smashed, etc. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. The evening and the morning were the sixth day. It's actually, here it is being described as sixth plane of consciousness, which is very good. The expression very good comes to signify a new state of consciousness appearing in the creation which didn't exist before. And all the 7 days of creation are parallel to the 7 states of consciousness as we know till the seventh plane. Eating or a process of digesting states of consciousness. Here appears the first time the fact of eating. Why this phenomenon exists. We can understand the need to build the young little body that just appeared in this world. But when it reached its full size, why to keep on feeding the body with an endless stream of matters? What stops the cell from functioning throughout its lifespan as it is? Why a cell cannot live a billion years? What stops it? Let's say 100 years. Why the substances within undergo changes, break apart, and being cast out, new materials enter in, interact with the existing forms, undergo all kinds of processes, and later on again break apart, emitted, and this process continues endlessly. The basic structure of the cell doesn't change. All this constant flow of materials. Of course, science can explain this process quite clearly. There are chemical processes of endless construction and destruction. The mechanisms which operate in the cell have certain period of existence. They were during the functioning being destroyed and new elements enter the system, build the various organs anew till the lifespans of the individual cell comes to an end, and it falls apart after it finally aged. Atoms and molecules themselves don't break apart and change ordinarily. The basic building blocks never break apart. Even we discovered in the 20th century that we can split the atom in the molecules and the atoms. We learned how to do this, supposedly. What is happening during the process of eating is that lower forms of life enter into a system with a higher state of consciousness, already from the level of the basic cell, and participate in the process which develops this state of consciousness. If we consider everything as beings with certain feelings and consciousness, then what is happening here is a process of creating new state of consciousness, as the chemical processes inside the cell are no more but echoes of that being which aspires to reach a higher state of consciousness. The new materials which join the system with a higher state of consciousness, like a cell, have the chance of experiencing the state of consciousness that the cell entertains, and so their state of consciousness is being boosted. Totally the opposite of what science says. The state of consciousness is a consequence of building complicated chemical constitutions. It's totally vice versa. What science sees physically, apparently, it's true, but their understanding is totally upside down. But this is due to the fact that humanity, lost its focus on the divine beloved. This is the root cause of all evil on earth. We are at the first creative age, where the elements which were created function instinctively, automatically. This is a very non-mature state mentally. It's the beginning of creation. It's like in the kindergarten. We still don't have free will. We still cannot make decisions, good and bad. It's a rudimentary creation. You can say naive, infantile, pristine, even use it virgin, innocent. We didn't start creating scenes. We understand why later on why all this happened. In our story, all the living beings were fed on vegetation. The phenomenon of devouring living beings and slaughtering them for food didn't exist in the beginnings of existence. In that form of existence, all that existed didn't cause suffering. Plants don't have feelings and sensations as living beings. Eating of plants is in their favor. They merge in the being of a higher animal which possesses a high state of consciousness. Thus, they evolve higher on the evolutionary ladder. Presumably, they even enjoy it. The plant goes better when it is being trimmed. It needs a directive hand. We discovered that plants also have feelings. I made all kinds of developed all kinds of instruments. You can feel the aura of the plants. but they are in a dream state according to some explanations. They don't suffer. There is some suffering in the creation, even in its perfect state. There should be some suffering. There is a reason for this. And we'll understand later on that this little bit of suffering actually brought about the fall of man, because we wanted to improve the creation. We see it as an obvious routine. We become hungry, and innate impulse compels us to eat. We act without thinking due to inner compulsion. Let us try to get out of ourselves and view that phenomenon from a detached viewpoint. What is really hidden behind this phenomenon? Try to contemplate externally. Minerals combine between themselves and create new forms of life. Plants absorb and digest the minerals. Animals absorb the plants and digest them. Carnivores prey on the vegetarian animals. Human beings eat and digest all that exists. We can view here a process where a lower being is being absorbed into a higher being, or cycles of existence from a lower grade are being merged into higher levels of existence. The cycles of existence are states of consciousness, which keep on evolving according to the development of the individual beings and their ability to create higher bodies. Now we can start to see how clever the creation has been. First, we were being divided to endless beings, and now there's a tremendous urge to reunite. But during the process of reuniting, new states of consciousness are being formed which didn't exist before. And this is a reason, justification for this creation. Getting states of consciousness which didn't exist before with the latent form of the oversoul of God, of the unconscious God, as Baba explains so beautifully in God Speaks. And it is being explained here. If you look deep inside all this material, we see that subconscious God is working to achieve a higher state of consciousness. This is the mystery of creation. How could it be that God is, as if on one side is complete total consciousness, supreme consciousness, and as if on the other side it is dormant. It's very strange how to understand this. And we'll understand, we will finish the path, and then we'll understand fully. We have been dealing actually with the creation or forming higher states of consciousness. All that exists is due to thinking thoughts. The thoughts solidify and appear in the physical world in sensational shapes. These statements are true. The minerals represent certain states of consciousness. Later on, we can identify states of consciousness with the vegetation, the living beings, and mankind. We may view eating as a process where lower states of consciousness is being uplifted to a higher state, and thus the evolutionary process fastens. The very effect of eating, you can take it, for example, I'm supposed to be focused on the divine beloved. And this is the goal of creation. That man is supposed to be focused on the divine beloved. And we'll explain it later. So, according to my focusing on the divine beloved, whatsoever enter my system, which is actually a galaxy, is being influenced by the awe of the divine beloved. And just imagine these elements enter a human being whose focus The non-divine beloved focus on physical attainment, on lust and greed and hatred. What happens to all these miserable beings who enter such a galaxy? We should feel sorry for them. And this tells us the tremendous responsibility we humans have in our state of consciousness. That all the destruction we witness is due to the fact that at a certain point, we discarded the divine beloved and started to focus all the shadows of creation, and we destroyed the creation. And whatsoever we see around us, whatever we witness, has been our own creation due to ignorance. And we chose to be ignorant. Creation of man. Maybe we should stop here. What we discussed is quite it's very intense material. It's time to absorb it. So far, we are doing quite well. We about 10% of the material. Not bad. Only 7 sessions, as I predicted, will be at least 50 sessions to go over the whole material. And when we will go all over the material, and this material contains Exodus and the books of Genesis and Exodus, and these 2 books are fundamental to understand the process of creation and the fall of man and the attempts to reconstruct humanity back to its Edenic perfect state, and explain why it didn't happen and why we actually discarded it. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you very much.